Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity, where last time we finally made it to Defiance Bay. We're here in the Copper Lane district, and we talked to our buddy Rowan here, who is a member of the Dozens, who have a lot of grievances with the ruling class here in Defiance Bay, and apparently there's a lot of trouble brewing here in Defiance Bay. There's something going on at Heritage Hill. The legacy is affecting everybody here, just like it is outside of this city, and animancers are supposedly up to it. Whole bunch of stuff. But right now we need some sleep. We have been traveling for over a day now to get here. It's nighttime. We're tired, and luckily, I'm pretty sure that this is a tavern here. What is this? The calm waters smell faintly of refuse. Oh, pleasant. The Goose and Fox. It's got the name of a tavern, if I've ever heard one. There we go. Oh my goodness. Soul reading, rather. So we got Irishti Tungsten. Reach out. You see a fire burning slowly on the side of a winding road, unmanned. There seems to be no fuel, no wood or oil for it to consume. No hay or twigs. Despite this, it roars, crackles, wails in the wind. It takes you a moment, but you begin to notice a figure in the flame. Its shaking hands cradle a young face, molten red tears marring skin the color of coal. The boy cowers, flames coating him as he holds his knees to his chest. In the distance, a man approaches, faceless. He extends a hand to the frightened child, who considers it warily before taking it. The flames die down, leaving his limbs and settling on his head like obedient pets. All tears dried, they walk together, fire and death, hand in hand. That's actually kind of a good story, right? Alright, Micarus. You see a wizard playing illusions in a town square, fingers plucking color and sound from the air and weaving scenes of beauty and fright. A crowd of onlookers gasps and cheers, enthralled with the display. All but one boy, standing off to the side, mouth agape. Green eyes are pale with wonder. Vision after vision playing out before him, and something inside the boy clicks. Without warning, he bolts, disappearing into the crowd, pushing and shoving desperately. The mage finishes his show, soon after. A giant silver dragon descending through the crowd, and 1,000 stars exploding into nothingness. Collecting coins, he walks around the clapping crowd, bowing and nodding at each as he passes until a small sack is dropped into his hands. The boy stands for a moment before him, small and still, and begs the wizard to apprentice him. He glances at the hefty bag, weighing it, and the boy, carefully. Finally, he nods and flicks gently at the bag, which disappears. The boy grins. "How'd you do that?" he asks, but the illusionist merely winks. Another good story. Yeah, nothing sad about these two stories yet. Well, I guess the beginning of that one was kind of sad. The Vulture. You see a hand, curled and bruised, staked to the floor with a bent metal spike. Blood covers the floor and drips from the furnishings and walls. This man looks up from the body he is crouched over to survey the carnage he caused to the family in whose house he now skulks. Alright, this one doesn't sound like it's going to be a good one. 4 bodies total. A woman, 2 young men, and a girl. Lie blindfolded on the ground. Their legs are bound, and both hands are attached to the floor with spikes. He has lifted the woman's blindfold, and is currently doing something to her eyes. He pulls back a small blade, and covers the eyes again, gently patting the blindfold. He stands and looks around, seemingly satisfied with his handiwork. Suddenly, his breath quickens, hearing someone approach the door to the room. He bounces in place, excitement almost overwhelming him, then rushes to the back of the room, concealing himself in the shadows. From his vantage, he sees the bodies are perfectly arranged, each one facing the door, welcoming the man of the house back, arms outstretched as if in embrace. The door opens as he slowly pulls another spike from his belt, the tip of his tongue playing across his teeth in anticipation. Oh my god. That's not good, is it? Welcome to the Goose and Fox. Thanks.
Good day, stranger.
The man behind the bar is nearly the size of an Omoa. A handle protrudes from his back. A handle protrudes from his back? And his face is set in a stoic frown. He gives you a small nod. Here for a drink. There's a tiny pewter cup in front of him. He turns it in one broad hand, but doesn't drink from it. I'll order some refreshments. This is a lively place. I'm looking for a retired adventurer. Tell me about yourself. Name's Bishop. Used to be a scholar at Barath. Now I run the Goose and Fox and keep the regulars in line. He shifts, and you see a warhammer strapped to his back. Ah! What more is there to tell? How do you go from religion to taverns? The journey isn't as long as you think. It started with Hollowborn, and with this. He takes a black bottle from under the bar and fills the pewter cup. It was my sister's son. He takes a drink. At the beginning of Widewind's legacy. He was one of the first. I never expected there would be so many after him. Tragedy is part of the cycle, but it's followed by rebirth. Yet every year, more parents were grieving for their Hollowborn children, and the gods were silent. So you lost your faith? He leans forward, crossing his arms on the bar. Barath promises rebirth, cycles. But the only cycle I found was this one. He taps at the bar. Have a drink, have another, and another, until I couldn't remember how I got home. Wake up, come back. I finally woke up one day to see my family had packed up and left. For all I know, they'd left days before I just hadn't noticed. They had left days before and I just hadn't noticed. But they were gone, so I came here. I've cleaned up since then. Not that I found my answers. He tosses the cup back. I've just stopped asking questions. This is a lively place. It was founded in the early days of Deerwood Independence by a traveling scholar named Errol of Levi. He wanted a place where kith of all backgrounds could gather and hash out the issues facing their new country. He rests his elbows on the polished wood of the bar. It didn't take long for the place to fill up. Brackenberry aristocrats argued with dock workers from the Gift, while soldiers wrangled with politicians. Deerwoodans have never been known to turn down an argument. He takes a sip from the tiny cup. What will happen next? I can imagine things got interesting. It will happen next. Soon, kith were coming from the farms and the settlements too. He waves at the door, as if expecting a crowd to bustle in. This place got even more popular with the Valian sailors than the salty mast. And that was the problem. He drains his cup. No matter what people say about fair-mindedness and civil debate, there's only so much people will tolerate. Errol found himself on the wrong side of an argument with the wrong Thane, and when he disappeared a few days later, some said it was the work of that Thane. He shrugs, spreading his hands over the bar as he surveys the room. But Errol knew which way the wind was blowing. If you ask me, he skipped town, hid out somewhere, hoping for rational minds to prevail in Defiance Bay. He cracks a wry grin. If only he could see it now. Could I get a room? I'll show you what I've got. Ooh, quite a lot of options. So Merchant Stay. That gives us +1 perception, +1 resolve. Vixen's Burrow. 2 dexterity and 1 survival, and 10 defense when disengaging. Suit of Worldly Wonders, or Suite of Worldly Wonders. +1 intellect, +2 lore. And Fletcher's Stay. +1 athleticism, +1 mechanics, and +5 to ranged accuracy. Ooh. Looks like Vixen's Burrow is the most expensive, which means it has to be the best, right? We do like the dexterity. I'm between that and Worldly Wonders. I do like the intellect too. Well, getting that perception and resolve is actually not bad either. It's the cheapest one too, is Merchant Stay. I think we'll go with Merchant Stay for tonight. 120 coppers, yes. Good. Looks like Edir and Sagani want to talk. So let's go ahead and talk to them now. We'll talk with Edir first.
The dozens. Pretty sure you won't find one among them who stood within 100 miles of that bridge when the Godhammer went off. Too bad, too. Then there'd be less of them.
Damn. He shakes his head with a bitter smile. Why do they call themselves the Dozens? Was 12 dear Woodens stood outside Halgot Citadel waiting for Widewind to cross the bridge there. They had to hold him there long enough for the Godhammer to detonate. So that's what they did. Godhammer? That's what they call the bomb they blew up Widewind with. Don't know much about it other than that. Anything kills a living god? Guess you gotta name it. What do you have against the Dozens? Nothing serious. Nothing I don't have against a lot of folk, anyway. The Dozens, they like to take things into their own hands. Gets ugly sometimes. We don't have them in Gilded Vale, but they'd be right at home there. They picked that name so they could do what they wanted and feel like it was right. Got nothing to do with honor or sacrifice. They like to invoke Magrin too, when they especially want to feel right. Somehow I don't think she'd be too impressed with that lot. I'm sure she'd like to set him on fire anytime they use her name, but the gods probably got rules against that kind of thing. People hide behind symbols so they can't be questioned. There must be plenty of other groups that are better reflections of the figures that inspired them. Too bad. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. Surely Magrin has worthier followers. I like 4 just because it invokes her name, but she wouldn't say that because I wouldn't be a Shirley, right? She would know that Magrin has worthier followers because she is a worthier follower. So we're going to go with Too Bad. I don't mind seeing something like that. Proof that the gods are just. But I want to give for a little of that. Let's continue on. Good idea. Okay, and then Sagani. Sagani draws up beside you, her fox following at her heels, and takes a seat next to you.
Even if you are putting one over on me, it's nice to have a hunting party again.
You've been searching for Persok for 5 years? Sounds like you've been gone from home for a long time. Finding Persok must be important for you to have traveled so long. Sounds like you've been gone from home a long time.
5 years for me. Must be 30-something for Itumak.
Hearing its name, the fox looks up. Itumak. 30 years. What an adventure. That must be exhausting. How's the search going? Yeah, I mean, we've been on the run for what, like a year or something, and we're exhausted. Looking for a place to settle down. That must be exhausting.
It's been a long hunt. A long time away from my family. Before, I'd crossed the tundra of Nasitok following caribou herds. I didn't want to leave Kalu and our children, but I was eager to visit lands my people rarely do. But 5 years without finding him. It's like 2 hours of necking. I'm ready to be done with it.
Yeah, she has a family too that she left. You should go home then. Why do you have to find Persok?
Soul recovery is an old village tradition. We call it the Tarnek Elite Sok. Once in a generation, we seek the soul of a much respected and long dead village elder. We tell him what's changed in the village, how people remember him. The only other Tarnek Elite Sok during my lifetime happened when I was a girl, not long after Persok died. We feasted on blubber and fermented milk for a week, and we honored the chosen huntress as a hero. Then she left, and we returned to our duties. We still sang her name to the skies during festival season, but we otherwise didn't speak of her.
I see. I'm sure your village still remembers you, Sagani. People often forget what isn't in front of them. What happened to her? I don't think she ever returned. It happens that way sometimes. She folds her arms, her expression sober. People often forget what isn't in front of them. She frowns. I think of that frequently.
It's not being forgotten by my village that troubles me. But sometimes I wonder how my husband and children remember me. If they think of me often.
That must be difficult. Of course they do, they must. Returning to them is what matters. Yeah, it must be difficult.
Still, there's no point in dwelling on it. More often, I find myself wondering whether Persock will remember us. You claim to see souls. What do you think? Do you remember your past lives?
She sighs and then gives you a sidelong glance. Yes, in fragments, no, not clearly. I don't want to talk about it. In fragments. She leans a hair's breadth closer. Really? What's that like? It's strange. Feels like I'm going crazy most of the time. Uncomfortable. I just as soon not remember any of it. Frustrating. I only wish I knew more. I've been learning a lot about myself. There are parts I like and parts I don't. I think Claudia would be kind of frustrated, right? She wants to know more. It's frustrating that she has no control over when she can remember her past life and how much of her past life she can remember. So frustrating. She sits back. I don't envy you. Guess I'm lucky I only have to worry about someone else's past life.
Makes me wonder what Persock remembers about our village. Or if a turn at the wheel has yanked the details out of his mind like it does for most of us.
Has your village changed much since his time? What would you tell him about your village? Yeah, has your village changed much?
Masuk is probably much the same as it was 100 years ago. We live between tundra and frozen forests, and the land takes as much as it gives. But our hardships bring us together. And the elders truly unite us. They keep the stories of past generations, and they guide us from season to season, through good years and lean.
I wonder if that means she's 100 years old. Around about. Like, is she saying there that 100 years ago is when Prosek died? Whatever his name was? Because she was a girl when he died, right? Is what she said? Or around that? Just trying to get a gauge of how old they are. Okay. Itamak brushes against her hip, and she scratches his head. Recently, there's been a lot of good years. My aunts say we've had fewer clashes with neighboring villages thanks to the hunting territories that Persock helped establish. In bad years, we rely on trade with the merchants that pass our shores. We exchange walrus tusks and seal pelts for grains that last us the hard winters. Persock brokered a lot of those agreements too. She holds up the bear figurine. He got this from one of the Amama ships that used to trade with us. Sounds like Persock did a lot for your people. Masuk must be a tight-knit village. Wouldn't a lot of these developments have happened anyway? It sounds like it did a lot for your people.
That's what I'm supposed to remind him.
She shoves the Adra bear back into her caribou skin pack. Sounds like you're on a hunt of your own, though. You feeling the thrill of the chase? Or ready for it to be over? It's too early to tell. I enjoy the adventure. Every day brings something new. Running around like this keeps me from what matters to me. I'd been hoping to settle down. Doesn't matter. I don't have much of a choice in this anyway. So she didn't come here to settle down. I know I kind of maybe like leaned into that a little bit. She wants a place to settle down, but she was too scared to actually settle down. But now she's got to keep. She's, considering it, especially with everything else that's going on. It's not like she can just leave the Direwood now. Or I guess technically she should be able to, but I don't think we can do that in game terms, so. Yeah, so maybe she doesn't have much of a choice in this. Right? Too early to tell could also work. I don't know if she's enjoying the adventure. I mean, I think to an extent she is. But I don't think that's like the main thing. Doesn't matter. I don't have much of a choice in this anyway. Her brow creases. I know what you mean. She rises and stretches, looking around. Might as well keep moving while we've got some daylight. Wait, I'd like to talk to you some more. What's on your mind? Oh, geez. I want to know more about your homeland. Nasitak? She rubs her nose with one broad finger. It's a big island in the middle of the Deadfire Archipelago, just off the coast of the White that winds. Tundra, mostly, with a few snow-covered forests in the warmer parts. I wonder if we go there in the next game. I don't know, anything where it says Deadfire Archipelago, I'm like, we might be going there in the next game. Most of us live in fairly small villages, but by standards here, anyway. Mine is Masuk. What is Nasitak like? She shrugs. Cold, but not as cold as the white that wins. The few kith who visit Nasitak find it sparse, but there's plenty to sustain a village if you know where to look. She ticks the items off her calloused fingers. We get hides and meat from caribou, seals and small whales. Bone too, which makes fine bows and arrowheads. Community is important to us. We survive or perish together, so everything we do, every week-long hunt, every wall we build is for the village. Who lives there? Mostly Inutinic, like me. People who here call us boreal dwarves. Migratory clans of Glamfellin from the white that wins sometimes spend the colder seasons on Nasitak, but we don't see too many other foreigners who can tolerate the elements. She pats a withered bronzed arm. A weather bronzed arm. Those of us born in Nasitak like to say we have a hardy layer of seal skin just beneath our flesh. Tell me more about your village. We're a tundra village. To an outsider's eye, we're probably not much different from the others around us, but our elders have stories that go back hundreds of years. Epic hunts, battles with neighboring villages, sojourns across the sea. We share these stories too. That's all. She nods. What's on your mind? What do you do back in Nasitak? I'm a long hunter. I stalk game across the tundra with some of the other wives. We usually hunt caribou and oxen, but we find hares and birds too. It's a good and respected position to see so much of Nasitak in the company of my friends and sisters. This is one of the pleasures of life in Masuk. Tell me about Itumak. She scratches behind his ear. A good hunter, but not much of a talker, and it's been fine by me. When we hunt in Nasitak, we almost always bring our foxes with us. They help us track and flush game, and they're fearless defenders against bears and snow leopards. Clever Itumak. I already forgot his name. Itumak. Has always been my favorite. He wags his bushy tail. Oh, who's a good fox? You have family back in your village? Of course. We never send a woman who hasn't had the chance to find a mate and have a couple of children of her own. Aren't you worried your husband will... Are you kidding? I'm the best shot in Masuk. Nice. Tell me about your children. I've had 5. Yakona, Estuya, Najo, Ainik, and Malek. Estuya and Ainik died young in long, lean winters. Malek was barely talking when I left. She scrapes a thumbnail along the handle of her hunting knife. He probably won't know me when I get home. She frowns, her hand falling from the knife. Even in Nasitak, I spend most of my time on the hunt. But then, it's easier to relish the hunt when I know I'll see my family enjoying our kill. What's your husband like? Kalu's a good man. He raised our children well and built us a strong home while I've been away on hunts. Our parents chose us for one another when we were still young. Not the way things are usually done here, but ours chose well. She smiles. We came to appreciate each other as helpmates first, then friends, and then, well, you know how it goes. There's a hint of blush below the stripe of face paint. That's all. I'm curious about the search for Persak. I'll tell you what I can, but Tarnik Elite Sock pilgrimages like mine are rare. Why do you people have this tradition? She pulls the bear figurine out of her satchel, running a finger along the smooth back. Its smooth back. It's something we've always done. The elders say it was first begun to forge ties with other villages. It's hard to fight other caribou herds when you see someone you respect on the other side. We also believe that passing our history on in this way keeps us stronger. And it helps them, the elders, return to us after they've been away from us for a generation or more. They can use the experiences they've accumulated over lifetimes to lead the village again. Are elders usually reborn so far from the village? Most often they return somewhere in Nasitak, a member of another village, or they're reborn among the Glamfellin of the White that Wins. Even so, it's hard to say what's usual. A mischievous grin crinkles her eyes. When my grandfather was a boy, the elder came back as a polar bear. The hunters chosen for the task had to recite half her village's deeds while running from the beast. That must have been a sight. Her expression sobers. Even so, there have been journeys longer than mine, some last decades, and the huntress doesn't always return. What happens when the elder is found? That depends on the man or woman he's become. It's easiest when the rebirth happens in another village of Nasitak, where the tradition is understood. Even in the White That Wins and the southern islands of the Deadfire Archipelago, people understand this custom and will welcome you politely enough, even if their souls do not remember. She shrugs. But sometimes you find someone whose soul had no memory of the village, and you have to tell him of the people who remember him still. As disheartening as this is, you hope that the reminder will aid his soul in a future life. How'd you get picked to come search for Persok? She grins. Another old village tradition. The elders watched the caribou migration and cast seal bones to determine the right time for this journey. When the omens were determined, all the village wives drew shark teeth. We're the ones that go away to hunt and fish, so we're the best suited for a task like this. Anyway, I grabbed the little tooth. She frowns. Traveling so far is a rare privilege for us, but as you can see, the journey can be unpredictable. What are your thoughts on my search? She frowns. Helps to know what you're hunting. You've got a lot of tracks to follow. But where they'll lead is anyone's guess. Let's move on. All right. It's good to get to know her more.
Hey.
I like her culture. It's a really interesting culture. Okay, we got another soul to read here. He's got like a little... Oh, no. It's the lamp behind. I thought his tag had like a little symbol there, but it's just the lamp behind it. All right, Lupitus Silverim. See what skeletons you have in your closet. You see an impressive gathering of wild Orlans in ceremonial dress, shaded by a cove of ancient oaks. I actually don't know how to say that word. Interesting. Underneath the largest, not surprising. Underneath the largest oak stand two young Orlans, hands clasped, eyes clear as they promise to care for and love one another in the joining of their clans. An older Orlan steps forward toward them to speak, beard seeming to sprout from directly underneath his eyes, and declares their union complete. The jubilant Orlan clan carry the newly wedded couple away to their tent with snorts of laughter and crude jokes, leaving the older Orlan to sit alone beneath the age-old oak. He sighs, observing the scene in the distance. He whispers a quiet benediction, glad for their gladness, and melts into the trees without another word. He has seen enough happiness for one day. Aw. I like that one. These are nice. They give you little glimpses into, like, cultures and stuff. A dragon is outlined in charcoal. The thick, jagged lines and the faint smell of sulfur suggest that the artist completed the sketch in a hurry. Cliff Dragon, White March, 2685. Is there something back here? Yeah, there is. A little storage room. It's probably stealing, though, right? Yeah. We ain't no thieves. Hello, Brad. You see a mud-soaked clearing, rain falling to the ground in large drops. This man is lying on his back in the muck, his hands holding open the maw of an enormous stelgare that stands over him, its front paws on his chest. The heavy rain falls over them, playing counterpoint to the grunts made by the opponents. Dead stelgare litter the ground around them, and the man's body shows signs of a difficult battle. His clothing is torn, hanging in scraps in some places. Bites and scratches cover his arms and legs. A huge gash cuts across his forehead, blood and water mixing as they run down his face and drip into the mud. It takes all the man's effort to keep the beast's jaws from clamping down. The man looks around wildly until his gaze finally lands on a larger axe lying barely within arm's reach behind his head. The rain slowly covering it with grime and muddy water. He looks up at the Stelgar, and then back at his axe, grim determination on his face. His arms are shaking, and it seems he will not be able to hold the beast back for much longer. He takes a deep breath and wraps his right hand around the Stelgar's bottom jaw, and lets go with his left, freeing the top of its head. The Stelgar's mouth snaps shut on his right hand as his left shoots out above his head and grabs the handle of his axe. The Stelgar grinds its teeth and pulls back, trying to free itself from his grip. Blood dripping from its mouth onto his face. With a grunt that quickly becomes a bellow of pain, the man pulls his right hand down, bringing the beast's head closer to him, swinging the axe around as he does so. The blade of the weapon pierces the Stelgar's neck, and it yelps, its mouth popping open as it tries to step backward, off the man. Before his mangled hand can loose its grip, the man pulls and twists his hand as hard as he can, trying to get the beast on the ground. Using the Stelgar's resistance to pull himself into a sitting position, he brings the axe down on its neck again and again, and one final time at its head, and his hand simultaneously comes free. The head flies from his grip as he thrusts his hand behind his back to brace himself as he falls. As his hand hits the ground and the full weight lands on it, a second blow of pain erupts from his mouth. Breathing heavily, he brings his now mangled hand up to assess the damage. The little finger is gone, lost somewhere in the mud. The two fingers next to it are twisted, broken, and torn, barely attached to his hand by some small bits of flesh. He sighs, grabbing both dangled fingers with his left hand. He grits his teeth and pulls. Ugh. Why? That was rough. Okay, we got an actor and a merchant. The painting depicts Glenfathan ruins, and the canvas bears the rough brushstrokes of a talented amateur. It rolls well. 2665. Alright, can't go back that way. A dwarf and an Orland debate philosophy on the other side of the curtain. Oh, cool. I didn't even notice there was like a table there. That's cool. Hello. Kainra. A woman sits by herself, spinning something on the table in front of her, and watching it with furious intensity. It's about the size of a coin, and it wobbles over a crack in the wood with a metallic rattle. She snatches it up with one hand and slams a half-empty cup down on the table with the other. This is not a good time. Oh, what are you doing here? You look like you could use another drink. What's that thing you're spinning? You look like you could use another drink. I'll get there. She takes a long drink from her glass, just trying to calm down, and trying to talk myself out of something foolish. Something foolish? She says nothing for a few moments, as if hoping you'll leave. At last, Kenra looks up at you, and lamplight falls across her face. A purpling bruise is blossoming along her cheekbone. There's something I need to give to my fiancé, Pernicic. Only he doesn't seem to go anywhere without his new friends, and they're not exactly pleasant company. Tell me about these new friends. Who hit you? She shakes her head. I know how this looks, but you don't understand. It's not like Pernicic. It's these new friends of his. They brought out the worst in him. I mean, it shouldn't matter. That's not an excuse. Tell me more about these friends. They come into our house, with their dead eyes and their black teeth. I'm not a fool. I know what it means. Pernicic makes me leave when they show up, but it's obvious what they come to do. Last time they came, I told them to get out. Let them have their fun somewhere on the gift, but not under my roof. She scowls and then winces, her fingertips gently probing her bruise. Svef changes you, I guess. The Pernicic I knew wouldn't have squashed a spider. I never thought he'd. She'd trail off, still feeling the swollen, discolored flesh. Maybe I could go talk to him. But Svef makes people calm and listless. It shouldn't make him violent. I thought Svef just made people lay around, not doing much. What's Svef? Have you gone to the Crucible Nights? Yeah, we're gonna use our intellect here. Kenra shrugs. I don't really know. Seemed better than believing he's always been this way. Maybe I could go talk to him. Her hand rests on the table, and she clenches it into a white-knuckled fist. There's nothing more to say to him. We're finished. I just want to give this back to him and have a clean break. She opens her hand, and a ring clatters onto the table. It was his grandmother's. Even after this, I don't have the heart to sell it off. But if I go back there myself, I know what'll happen. I lose my temper, I'll probably wind up with another one of these. She points to her bruise. I'll take it. She looks at you and nods. The house is just north of here. Just, please don't hurt him. As furious as I am, I don't want him on my conscience. Yeah, well, you know. What you don't know won't hurt you. There's no excuse for that kind of stuff. At all. Alright,
Hey.
Roy? Roy? Reach out. You see a half-consumed ale slosh its way across the distance to his mouth, spilling across the stains of food long past. Glazed eyes glance at the brawl across the room, gaining fervor as the fight extends through the room. Another ale, he murmurs to the bartender, downing his drink, and turning toward the wall. He pulls a picture from his pocket, a painting of a young child, all brown hair and green eyes, and holds it above a candle. It does not burn. Ales later, he begins to sing, the bar a mess of broken chairs and wounded pride, and they all listen for a moment before continuing their drinks. Svef, conversations. His ache is felt through the room. His sad story reminds them of their sad stories. When he finishes singing, a silence hangs in the air, palpable among the smoke and the sweat and the yeasty smell of beer-infused exultation. He is the first to break the silence, ordering a round of ale for the room. The general din of conversation sparks and resumes, but the mirth now is tempered with far-off memories and thoughts. It's sad. The Stelgar's pelt is thick with dust and moth. The plaque below the beast reads, Maiden Falls, 2682. So that's what that guy was fighting. Damn, that's a ferocious creature. That was Brad, or Brad's past life. I'm assuming we're seeing their past lives. Okay, what do we got up here? Dreadshot Desden, Hurdy, Ilfa, Key, and Two-Tone Weexel. Scattered among such titles as Flora of the Living Lands. We're gonna have to read it from here. Unity and Disunity, A History of the Deadfire Archipelago, and Treaties on the Colquhoun People are half a dozen travel journals held together with twine. I guess we could have read it from there. I guess pausing it does actually stop that. I didn't know. Okay.
Hello.
An Orthan man relaxes with his feet propped on the table. Patches of dark brown skin peek out from under a full mane of blue-green hair. He and the Orthan woman with him exchange laughs and comments with the trio at a nearby table, and he spins a dagger in his hand. His hazel eyes watch you. You look like you've seen a night or two in the wilds. Joining us for a drink? Who are all of you? The name's Two-Tone Weexel. Says the lady next to me is Key. We've had our fun with the expeditions, but we're hoping to enjoy a little peace and quiet for the next few weeks anyway. A man at the next table nods at you. I'm Dreadshot Daden. This is Hurdy and Ilfa. We were part of separate expedition teams, but we both suffered losses and decided to band together. He takes several items off his fingers. Beasts, barbarians, biowics. It's a dangerous time to be an adventurer, but a prosperous one too. At the next table, Daden raises his glass. And here's to many more prosperous journeys. Is there something else you wanted? Nope. Good job for you guys having a successful adventuring career. This one's not stealing.
That's settled.
Well, if it's not stealing, I can take it, right? I mean, game says it's not stealing. More people to read their souls for? That's stealing. Old Valia, Southern Coast, 2670. AI. Herod. Reach out. You see a man standing on a dock. Sailors, soldiers, and prostitutes swarm around him, but he's watching the ship disappearing over the horizon. He should be glad his men didn't take his life along with his ship, but failure is almost as bad as a death for a Valian. And the gods only know he hasn't fared any better in his family's mercantile business. It's almost a relief to see that last herald of his failure sail into the distance, sparing him the need to go back to his father and admit defeat once again. Besides, with sharp wits and an eye for opportunity, there's always a chance for a comeback. He pulls a flask from his hip and takes a long drink. There will be time for that later. He adjusts the flap of his eye patch and finds the tower of the brothel. He plots a new course for the evening, a grin on his face. There you go, buddy. Procrastination. Ishana Glen. You see a group of people standing on a clear patch of earth, surrounded by several motionless bodies. On the ground in the middle of the group is a small figure, curled up to protect itself from the kicking feet of the people standing around it. This woman is there, apart from the group, holding an enormous sword. She leans on it, using it almost like a crutch, hunched over and breathing heavily. She stares at the people and grunts, pulling herself upright and lifting the sword from the ground. She draws it in a large breath, leans into a run and quickly closes the distance between herself and the group. A blood-chilling howl suddenly explodes from her. The mob freezes mid-kick and stares at the terrifying bull of a woman now charging it. She jumps at the last second, bending slightly, turning herself into a projectile flying into the middle of the people, assaulting the figure on the ground. Everyone topples as she flies into them. She hits the ground beyond them, rolling, leaping back up, and turns to face them. She plants both of her feet and lifts her sword, surveying the field. Suddenly, she spins on her heel, swinging her sword with savage grace, cutting down the nearest of the assailants. Letting herself get pulled into the momentum of the spin, she brings her sword around, blade sideways, into the head of the would-be opponent. The bottom of the hilt shatters his temple, and he crumples to the ground at her feet. She looks up, rage-filled eyes daring the remaining two men to approach. After a quick sideways glance at each other, they turn heel and run. One briefly looks back over his shoulder, ensuring that she isn't following him. She slowly lets out a breath. She slowly lets out the breath she had been holding and walks over to help the figure still huddled on the ground. Alright, don't mess with her. Or at least her past self. Alright, there's another one in there. Not stealing. The most unfortunate tale of Fravia and Bernat, a Valian tragedy. The pages of these old books are crisp and fragrant, with the salt of a sea breeze. Oh my goodness. Alright, I got 3 more souls to read in here. I'm gonna spend the whole episode in this N. It's kinda crazy. Alright, dash. You see a grin slide across the face of a man, and onto the face of a woman, younger still than he. She moves closer in the tallow light, sure and slow, tasting the anticipation on his tongue, the desire on hers. The candle gutters, sending yellow-brown light sneaking across the his multifaceted eyes. She sits back, now all too aware of his luminescent horns and dust-stamped blue skin. His otherness leaves her breathless, but from fascination or horror you can't not tell. He reaches across a hand, trailing the line of her jaw, sibilant whispers snaking through the air, tempting, cajoling. Something in her breaks, and his grin slides back as he extends his tongue to lick the curve of her throat, pausing a hair's breadth from her flesh. The things we spoke of. Your husband. I shouldn't. He'd be ruined. A faint protest. The man wags his forefinger at her, tisking playfully. Tracing a line with his finger down the length of her torso, causing her to writhe, he stops it just short. She gasps. No fair, that's cheating, she pouts, childlike. Not if we make the rules, the man winks, and he resumes his stroke. Alright. Not a good thing. Bore. You see a firm hand scribing notes from an ancient, surprisingly sturdy-looking tome, script precise, pictures small but clear. The monk runs his fingers across the paper lightly, page after page, searching for something. The script is ancient, almost illegible. Illegible, yeah. But he perseveres, scrawling stacks and sheaves of notes, transcribing the book onto something more comprehensible. Suddenly, he starts scribbling hastily. eyes wild, pen a blur across the newly ink-splattered page. With a start, he pushes out from the desk and closes the tome, sending waves of dust to coast about the room, and grins widely. He hurries to the exit, notes piled under his arm, and a new adventure on his mind. Okay. And last, Lexicanium. You see a man praying soundlessly on the ground, his lips moving to some ancient and unknowable hymn. Lying in his hands, his sword sputters into blinding white light, banishing the darkness around him, instantly to lurk in corners and shelves. He opens his eyes slowly, continuing his silent prayer as he adjusts to the new light, his face tight and with concentration. He stands and begins to move deliberately toward an enormous iron door, strange symbols inscribed upon its rusted surface. His prayers get louder, gain substance as he gets closer. Blue eyes burn with fervor as the glowing tip of the sword touches the center of the door and slides through. White light spreads across its surface, symbols flaring into life as the paladin chants. A gentle tone sounds, ringing through the ancient structure, and the door begins to open. The symbols have disappeared, along with the rust, and the paladin steps through into places unknown, bearing a light he is only now beginning to understand. Interesting. Cool.
Hey.
And cool stories there. Alright. It's everything here. I think it's everything in the inn. So let's go handle Persnicket, whatever his name was. The guy who beat his wife. Fiance, rather. Because I remember seeing that guy's house on the map, so it's not that far away. And hopefully it's day out, because we slept, right? Now, I don't know if sleeping just moves you to the morning, or if it's just 8 hours. But it's daytime, so it's good. Alright. Commoners. Maybe we could go down for a quick look, and come right back out. Say we found nothing. What's this we? Dalton's your friend, not mine. Crumpled loaves and shredded flyers float on the water. Alright, where's this guy? It's right here, right? Yeah. Let's go handle this now. Broken branch. Heritage Hill claims another curious soul. Is this like a... We remind all visitors to Defiance Bay that the hill is sealed for the city's protection. And furthermore, that the trade of Ingwithan artifacts is strictly forbidden. Okay. Yeah, the crier. Alright, Broken Branch. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Reach out. You see a dark figure moving quickly around the room, grabbing items and placing them in a sack. The room is in complete disarray. The elf is lying on the floor in the middle of the room. Her breath comes in shallow hitching gasps, and her face is wet with tears. Her head slowly tilts to the side, her attention drawn to the noise on the far side of the room. She watches the figure move about, removing all the valuables from a chest. She slowly lifts her hands from her stomach, bringing them in front of her face. Her head shakes weakly as she turns it back to look at her fingers, covered in her own blood. Her breath hitches again, and she lets out a quiet, mewling sound. The dark figure stops its search and turns to look at her, hisses something at her. The figure walks back to the elf and stands over her, tilting its head, as if it had completely forgotten she was there until she made the sound. He kneels next to her, stares at her unfocused eyes, and reaches out a hand to her stomach. Without a word, and without breaking his gaze, he pushes two of his fingers into the gaping wound in her abdomen. Her mouth widens in a silent scream, a rictus of pain etched on her face. In a moment, her entire body goes limp as she succumbs to the pain and faints. The figure stands, staring at her one final time, then spits on her before turning to leave. Jesus. I don't know what she did to you, buddy, but that was uncalled for. Alright. Let's get some progress done. Just read a lot of souls this this episode. A lot of talking. Alright, so we got a bunch of addicts and some mercenaries. It's not good. A couple of crude beds have been improvised from an assortment of tattered blankets and pillows. Dribbles of some dark liquid stain the fabric. Alright, we got some Svef over here. Alright. More mercenaries. A lot of mercenaries. There he is. Surrounded by mercenaries. That's a good sign.
Greetings.
The man before you flashes you a toothy and rather unpleasant grin. Well now, a new face. Welcome, friend. Name's Pernicic. And this, he gestures to the room around you, is my humble abode and place of business. And I do hope you're in here to do some business. He glances at the nearby guards. What is your business exactly? If you have to ask, Pernicic smirks. Let's be clear. You go running to the guards, you're going to regret stepping foot in this place. In fact, I'd put even odds on your regretting every decision you've made in your life to leave you standing in front of me right now. His face shivers with a quick, unreadable emotion. But you stay smart, and I figure we can end up very good friends. You can ask my, previous customers. They'll vouch for my supply, he grins. I keep it simple. If you have the coin, I have the Svef. You're free to make use of the premises, so long as you don't do anything stupid, and you don't get too tangled, and you don't get to tangling with the other customers. Now, Pernicic clasps his hands together. What can I get for you? What is Svef? You serious? Pernicic eyes you with suspicion, then disbelief. Svef's worth every pound, my friend. It's incredible. Lets you see your own soul, and you're looking at Defiance Bay's first and foremost Svef merchant. And we're gonna look at your stock. Yeah, sure, let's take a look. Always got Svef, okay. Uncover what happened at Pernicic's house in Copper Lane. What does that tell me? The house next to Copper Lane Market that has become a Svef den. Pernicic was home, but something about the man seemed unusual.
Hey.
Feel free to make yourself comfortable down here. Top floor's off limits. Why? This book of alien love sonnets has a dedication on the first page. To my beloved Kainra. Doesn't sound like this guy. Locked. The guard holds up a hand as you approach. You can turn right back around. The lower floor is all yours, but nobody goes upstairs. Why not? He scowls. Because you'll be breathing through new holes in your neck if you head up there. That's why. Just mind your own business. Once you're on this Svef, you're not going to much care where you are anyway. Any chance you could look the other way? 100 copper. Or get out of my way, or break your sword in half and feed it to you on both ends. God damn. We're gonna do that one. The guard blinks and takes a step back. As you like. Gods, woman. Just trying to warn you off. Yeah, that's what I thought. The pots are crusted shut with unidentifiable gunk. No. That's stealing. Bad. I don't steal. Alright, what's he hiding up here? Hey guys. Oh wow, that's a lot of them. More than I thought there would be anyway.
Yeah.
But it'll be alright. Interdiction.
Ready, watch.
Go ahead, mark that one. Go ahead, fire. You're going to go ahead and give us a blessing. Do that.
Hey.
Do that.
Following your lead.
And then start firing at him. Okay, this guy's going after... Everybody go after him. Because they're going after Durance. When they know they shouldn't be. Go ahead and do one of these. He's almost dead, so let's move to this guy. Alright, now everybody attack him. Easy. Great Western Stag.
Alright then.
Kind of Direwood Part 3. Definitely gonna have a book reading session coming relatively soon. And by that I mean I don't know when it'll happen. I'd like to do it. Rusty Bronze Key. We've got a key to something. Take all the money. It appears as though someone rummaged through the uneven row of books in a hurry. Okay. These jars are chipped and cracked, as if knocked to the ground and set back in place. Adiran Dialects. Unlocked. Pernicic? Oh. One side of the overturned vase is splotched with crimson. Someone has gathered sheets and towels into a makeshift bed. The rumpled fabric is stiff with blood and unwashed sweat.
Hey.
Doesn't look like you're doing too well, buddy. A man lies, bound and bloodied, on the floor before you. His face is a tapestry of bruises, and blood is spattered across several corners of the room. The man cringes and sobs as you approach. Gods, please. Please, no more. I can't take any more. I'm not here to hurt you. The man pauses, gazing up at you. You're not? Oh, praise Bareth. You're not one of his men, are you? He glances nervously behind you. He shakes his head. Please, I don't know who you are, but my name is Pernicic. This is my house. You have to help me. Then who was that downstairs? An imposter. Some wizard named Nyrod. He came into my house, tied me up in here, tortured me. And now he and his men are eating my food, breaking my things, selling Svef inside my house. He blinks. He just turned up all of a sudden? Whatever you're holding back, spit it out, or I'll pry it out of you. This would be a lot easier if you weren't trying to hide something. Yeah, whatever you're holding back, spit it out. Pernicic looks away, unable to meet your gaze. I may have hung on to a tiny portion of my supplier's share, but I need that money. So you're a Svef dealer. Pernicic winces. Look, I know it's not the best line of work, especially with all that's happened, but it pays well. Very, very well, and, well, people want this stuff, don't they? What did your supplier do? If you think I'm going to help out scum like you, you're sorely mistaken. Why would I help you? But is it worth all this? Zincanra? What did your supplier do? He sent out the wizard. He sent over the wizard Nyrod. The man's downstairs. Pernicic shudders. They make up the lost copper, I guess, and it hurt me while he was at it. Feels like it's been days. Why should I help you? Pernicic looks crestfallen. Because it's the right thing to do? Okay, look. Nyrod took all my money, but he still has it. If you kill him, he's bound to have most of it on his person. You can have all of it. I'll do it. Pernicic lets out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank you. I'd help if I could, but in my state, I'd probably just slow you down. Please, be careful. So I didn't actually want to shake him down.
Alright,
but
then.
I was just like, why should I help somebody like you? I wasn't really fishing for a reward. Alright, let's go confront Nyrod. If he's anything like the mercenaries upstairs, I shouldn't have any problem with this fight. Although, I don't really like the idea that he's going to be behind me. Can I just have a deer go up there? This is actually really bad. Who can I send up there that's going to be okay? Maybe Durance? Let's all get in there. Line up like this. Just in case a fight breaks out. You're back. Anything I can do for you? I found the man you tied up upstairs. The one also claiming to be Pernicic. The toothy smile falters. That's so. He shakes his head. Shame you had to go digging around, friend. Because now I can't exactly let you leave, can I? Was getting tired of pretending to be that sad sack anyhow. His mouth curves into a snarl. Guards. Hold on. Maybe we can come to an arrangement. What do you propose? You give me a discount on Svef, and I won't interfere with your operations. Yeah, I've changed my mind. Okay. So. Introduction.
Yeah.
That's loud. Let's get a fireball. Right there.
Ready, Watcher.
Hit that guy. We need to bring that guy down pretty quickly. Knock him down.
What?
Do that.
How may I help?
Oh, you're already doing something. Up. Right there. Okay. Go ahead, bless us. Good.
How may I help?
Fire. Where's Nyrid? Mark him. Are you already doing your thing? I can't tell. Do it again anyway.
Hey.
You do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and do a crush right here. Stop! Nyrid staggers back, holding a bloody hand in front of him. I give up. Just leave and I'll go peacefully, alright? Too late.
Blast that.
Oh god. Attack him. Attack him. Okay, good. Everybody's going after who they should now. Attack this guy. So Nyrid's dead, right? Interesting that's the only option was too late there.
Following your lead.
Where are you at?
Yes.
You can start doing these. And again. Oh shit, I didn't even see this guy. Classia, get out of there. Good.
Hey.
Alright. Easy peasy. Oop, wrong button. Loot. So he's got a Grimrar. That's good. And a whole bunch of money. Take it all.
Alright.
Alright, let's go. Quite a brave mercenary right there. Let's see if there's any more in here. Okay. And then there's the one in this room. He's probably gonna attack us too, right? Yep. Very brave mercenaries. I don't think you're getting paid enough for this, buddy. There we go. Loot him. Let's go upstairs, free the guy. This episode might run a little long, depending on how much dialogue there is at the end here. That's okay. I wanted to get something done besides just talking to everybody in the tavern. Is it done? Is he dead? He's already taken care of. Pernicic stares at you. I can't believe this nightmare is finally over. He grins weakly, then seems to remember something. I've no idea what you've done for me, but... He looks up at you and away again. I need to find my love, Kainra. Only, after whatever Nyrid put her through, I'm afraid she won't give me a chance to explain. But she might listen to you. Please. She must be somewhere in Copper Lane. It's the only home she's known. And please, don't tell her about the Svef. About what I do. I can make it worth your while. A discount, maybe. You're still gonna do it? Kainra sent me here in the first place. Perhaps you should trust her to make her own decision rather than to lie to her. Don't push your luck, Pernicic. Sorry, but I don't think I've done enough. Yeah, maybe you should trust her. I know, and I can't force you to keep this secret. I just don't want to lose her. After what happened here, I'm sure she won't have anything to do with Svef. Or me, if she finds out. Then stop. She sent me here in the first place. She did? Pernisik smiles brightly. That woman helped save my life without realizing it. Please bring her home and tell her that everything is back to normal. I'll talk to her. I can't thank you enough, truly. How I've missed my poor Kainra. I mean, we're gonna tell her the truth, but I don't know if I just missed the option, but I feel like there should have been an option where we're like, hey, you need to stop selling Svef if you want to keep her. Like, maybe we can tell her to give him that ultimatum if she wants our advice. Must miss this loot over here. Been sinful. Alright, so back to the Goose and Fox. Is that Fox and Goose? The tavern. Talk to her real quick, and hopefully we won't have to walk all the way back to the house again. But then we'll end the episode. Let's move. Move. Fast mode. I feel like we're doing pretty good combat-wise, though. We handled that very well. I thought. Kainra. Kainra looks up at you as you approach. What happened with Pernisik? Did you give him the ring? Pernisik was being impersonated by a powerful wizard. However, the real Pernisik also deals Svef. She deserves to know the truth. He also deals in Svef. She blinks at you, stunned. I had no idea. Pernisik, She brings her fist down on the table, sloshing her drink. Damn it! How can I trust him after something like this? That he lied to me for this long. She runs her hand through her hair and takes a deep breath. I should just be glad I found out about this before the wedding. Right now he needs help and forgiveness. He still loves you. Do you really want to give up on him? Or on your future together? You're smart to stay away from him. There are other men in Defiance Bay. I'm sorry it turned out like this. He still loves you. Do you really want to give up on him? Perhaps you're right. If he's willing to give it up, we can work this out. Seems worthwhile to give him a chance anyway. Oh, and take this. She unclasped something from her neck. Picked it up from one of the merchants to help me stand firm in my decision. I'll be fine without it now. We lost the ring. But we got unwavering resolve added to inventory and a boatload of experience. Awesome. Quest complete. Okay, good. That turned out exactly how I wanted it to turn out. She's going to talk to him, basically say, "Hey, you gotta give up the Svef dealing, or we're done." And hopefully it works out, because Pernisik didn't seem like a bad guy. You know, just making some bad decisions. And he needs to stop doing that. All right, but what did we get? We got. Oh, it's an amulet. Still goes in that slot though. So intellect +2 and resolve +1. That sounds like it's perfect for me. Yeah, we're gonna wear that. Awesome. And put that in there. Cool. All right, so that's where we're going to end this episode. In the next episode, we'll continue exploring Copper Lane. See what else it's got to offer. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later.